what's up with Sean Baligian?
What up, this is Joint Bell here on the Baligian and Bell Show.
Make sure you check us out on the Woodward Sports Network. What is up? Glad you could join us. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you had a fantastic and safe New Year's Eve. Glad to be back with that guy, Joint Bell. I'm Sean Baligian. It is a Monday, so that means?
Motivational Mondays.
Yeah.
Motivational Mondays.
Motivational Motor City Monday. Yeah. That sound good?
Motor City Mondays.
Everybody doing that?
Yeah.
We need a little motivation after the weekend.
After the weekend.
Long weekend.
A lot of motivation after 2020. Going to 2021 with positive spirit.
Yeah. Especially after watching that Lions game yesterday.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to it.
I lost my mind, man. You know what? I'm so proud.
Detroit versus everybody.
As I've gotten older, I think you and I had this conversation. I don't have the temper tantrums that I used to watching games. I had a little temper tantrum yesterday. I'm not gonna lie.
Did you?
Yeah, I had a lot of temper tantrum yesterday. I'm not gonna lie about that. But hopefully everybody had a safe New Year's Eve. Here's that term again. There's certain lines that I'm sick of. Now more than ever. I don't want to hear now more than ever again in my entire lifetime. And
never
then
will I
fill in
ever.
the blank, unlike any other. But the New Year's Eve was a New Year's Eve unlike any other. It was. What'd you end up doing? I know we were talking about, I was going to cook some stuff for you. You have an open invite. You get me the stuff, I'm going to cook it for you. Okay? I promise you that. And what did you end up doing?
And I ended up barbecuing.
Did you really?
I ended up barbecuing. I ended up getting up a little late, and I had to run some errands. And so I called you the day before because I planned on grabbing the food, bringing it by, and taking lessons. I don't want you to cook. I want to sit there. I want to watch and see what you're doing. I want to see.
You're gonna be at my house for a while.
I know.
Okay.
And so I was thinking, like, I don't want to just drop the food off and just leave and to come back and pick it up. Like, all right, have a good one, Sean. I know you don't care, but I just didn't want to do that the first time. And so
what a nice guy.
Yeah, I didn't want to do it the first time. So
what a nice guy.
And so I had to run. I went by the Ferrari dealership, went to go get something for my car real quick to kind of, for one of my guys who worked there, a good friend of mine, good people over there. They actually, that's actually the Tesla body shop as well.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So I went over there, left from there with the whole food, grabbed a bunch of barbecue, a bunch of food. I cooked for me, my son, my niece.
What'd you do?
We did ribs. We did chicken breast, we did chicken wings, we did steaks, and then for me I had a Beyond Meat burger. But it was good though.
Yeah.
Made my own.
Whatever works, man.
Yeah, I made my own. I have this barbecue sauce that I make that my mom kind of hit me to. So I make that, and the fam loves it. My sister made the greens. I made mac and cheese that my sister left. She prepped it for me, put that in the oven, cooked it, and then we watched the movie that night to bring in the new year. And then also I play Art in Call of Duty. He spanked my butt in multiplayer, then I spanked his butt in Plunder. And so we went 2 for 2. Yeah, we went 2 for 2. He won 2, I won 2.
You're referring to him as Art, though. I mean, that.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a little respect now.
It's a little respect. It's a little respect now.
Here comes Art. What's
it's
up,
a little
Art?
respect now.
Real quick, and I don't mean to interrupt this great
show.
I'm
glad you are.
Let me just say, I whooped you on multiplayer.
Yeah, right? And I whooped you on Plunder.
Right, but the whole problem with this is that before you said I'm nothing without my team.
Yeah.
So can you admit that?
I just gave you that. That just giving respect.
Flowers.
Sean, that just giving
respect.
Know
what? You're talking about getting him barbecue and all that. What about me?
Art,
I'm the star.
No.
I'm you 11.
No.
Come on. I mean, what else do I have to prove? I brought the T-shirt. What about the T-shirt?
And I beat you in plunder. So what about that?
Now, Sean, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're wrong.
This was a 1v1 battle, right?
No. We said we were going in, and it was 2 for 2. So we could vote for the shirts. Or we could both not wear the shirt.
Yeah.
Or we could both.
Victory lap. It's a victory lap.
I'm about to say, yeah. Well, so
I
we
will
got
say,
that.
Plunder, he's got a guy on his team named Solo that is insane. I've never seen somebody play like this before. Like, he builds a great team just like I do. But, truth be told,
You know what's funny? I had just met him that day.
Are you serious?
I just met him that day.
Dude needs to be signed. He needs to be in a program.
But he's talking about only killing. That's not the object of plunder.
Right.
Like when it comes to killing, I'm not the killer. I'm not going to be out there shooting, killing everybody. Now I hold my own, but that's not my game. Like when it comes to like strategizing and being strategic, that's where I get in.
That's why, listen, if I may interject for a second, that's why, like, he called me, that was the 30th, right? You called me that night, and you were like, hey, I got some barbecue stuff. I'm serious. I go, come over.
Yeah.
Like, and I knew you guys were busy. Seriously, I have no problem doing that because I'm already on my smoker all day. So I thought this will work out well. You guys can do your thing. Mm-hmm. I got no problem. I already got a bunch of crap on my smoker for me. Yeah. So it was like, let's go. Same thing with you.
Well, listen, here's the thing. Like, I'm doing my victory lap today because, I will say this, Joik. Like, if we were to get on a team together, I think we could do incredible things.
Yeah, we would.
I think at
not
this
a plunder, but like
I think at this point the rivalry can die. I think that when it comes to plunder and multiplayer, you kill it. That I completely destroy you at 1v1.
Not multiplayer. You kill a multiplayer.
Yeah, multiplayer. But on plunder, you completely destroy it. I just want my flowers and I want my respect now. I want Darren McCarty to come in one day and say, Art, I'm sorry for doubting you all this time. I'm a figure here. I'm important.
And I think one versus one you guys killed. One multiplayer I don't know what was going on. I don't know because I had my son and nephew. I had them bring their TVs and I had them bring their monitors in my theater room with me. And so we're all playing at the same time.
Yeah.
So I was able to pull them on my team and it was slowing down my internet and I was lagging horribly.
Yeah.
Like horrible.
Can you admit something right now?
What's
between
up?
You and I, let's act like the cameras aren't here. So I beat you 30-11 the first time.
Yeah.
The second time, because I can't find the stream. You don't save your streams. But you were playing?
That was me.
Why'd you look over when you said that?
Huh? Because I knew what you were going to say. I knew exactly what you were going to say because I turned up.
He's going, wasn't me.
I know. So it wasn't him, but there was somebody else on your stream that came over. There was somebody else. You could hear him in the background.
That was my son was sitting. I had my son and nephew both sitting. Like my son was playing right here next to me.
They had the deepest voices.
And the deepest voices. What are you talking about?
It sounded like a grown man in the background.
It was my nephew.
Well, listen, from the sound of your nephew's voice, I will say he could probably whoop my ass.
You hear the piece though? This is like our Rocky IV moment. Joik and Art are making peace. They're talking about a teamwork. Where's Rocky? If I can change, you can change. Everybody.
Yeah,
can
he
change.
wants me to save my stream. You can't save my stream.
But you can.
I don't know, not my stream.
Not your stream. All right. Well, I will say this: bygones be bygones. We'll settle it at 1-1. Okay, yeah. I'll give you that. We won the first round. You won the second round. But I think building a team together and moving forward as a unit, as a Detroit versus everybody unit. Let's do that. I'll extend the olive branch. Is that what they say?
What are you thinking?
Now, if he turns this down right here.
No.
What do you mean no?
You gotta beat me in plunder before I do that. I beat you in multiplayer one time.
Wow. Okay. So here I am.
We beat you in one multiplayer already. We beat you.
But you didn't though. You beat me on the plunder side.
I said multiplayer.
Right, but you didn't beat me in multiplayer.
We beat you in one multiplayer. Yes, we did.
We beat you 2-1, and then you were complaining about the lag.
Right. But we beat you one, and the last one was
you beat me 1, but it's still 2-1.
Ooh, you were real lagging.
This is never going to end, Baligian. This is never going to end. I'm going to let you guys get back to your show.
I wish I would have saved that stream so you can see how bad we're lagging. Like, it'll be a time we're shooting a guy like 10 times in the back, then he turns around and shoots us one time. We die because we're lagging so bad. It was ridiculous.
But regardless, I beat him 1-1, 30-11. I mean, it was an embarrassment.
I play better in a team setting.
But you were just complaining in the first time we went around that I'm nobody without my team. So the same could be said about you.
No, it's not. Yeah. Because when we played Plunder, who had the most money?
Right, but you weren't on a team.
But who had the most money?
But you weren't on a team.
But who had the most money?
This is never going to end. Listen, I deserve my flowers.
I already had more money than his whole team combined.
Right, ridiculous. But I still beat you 1-1.
And I still beat you in Plunder.
30-11.
I beat you by a million.
30-11.
And I beat him by a million.
Ooh, 30-11. All right.
We beat about-
I'll be
actually,
waiting for my
1.5.
barbecue.
Definitely.
I'll be waiting for my
Definitely.
All right, get out of here.
So this is
Hey, all right, take
There
my
it
son to
is.
go get a haircut up there. Take him to go get a haircut. You need a haircut. Jordan, go get a haircut.
All right, a couple things. Scott said, in times like these is another phrase I don't want to hear. Kenny said the new normal. I'm so sick of these buzz terms that came up during COVID. They can all go away. Now more than ever makes me we're all in this together. Knock it off. Like, just, can we stop that? By the way, this just came up. I don't know if you saw this, Corey. A good buddy of mine. I don't know if he wants to be mentioned, but he's somebody in the business. Albert Breer, are you familiar with his work? Said the Lions.
Oh yeah, big time.
The Lions are planning to interview Eric Bieniemy today, Darrell Bevel on Tuesday, Robert Saleh on Thursday. Detroit is also expected to interview Titans OC Arthur Smith and Saints assistant head coach Dan Campbell next week. This is a term in the NFL, as you well know, Joy, called Black Monday. There are going to be more guys losing jobs today. You're going to hear more about interviews. Lions, of course, the big news from yesterday, going after John Schneider from Seattle. If you've listened to me, I love Ed Dodds, who worked under John Schneider. If you can pull that off, that would be a massive coup. But one good thing about this, and we're going to stay on top of this at Woodward Sports, it's going to show you that the Lions are sparing no expense to bring in the best head coach and the best general manager and try to get this thing turned around. And I'm telling you, Joy, and I hope I don't eat these, I'm more optimistic right now than I've been in a long time about the Detroit Lions. And it's not because of what's on the field, because there's a lot of work to be done on the field, but you know what? It's direction, it's culture, it's the way we've operated hasn't worked. Let's go in let's change it all across the board. And that's, to me, man, I'm fired up for that.
So what is? Do you want to bring a coach from a winning team?
That's kind of what they're looking at, with experience, mind you.
Isn't that what we just did?
With no experience. With Matt Patricia, you know, as a DC, that's the only difference for me personally. Is like, if you can bring in a guy, and Bob Quinn was an underling. Like, I'll use John Schneider as an example. He's a dude that has gotten it done in Seattle for 10 years, and he was an underling before that with Green Bay. You bring in a guy like that, been there, done that, been able to, you know, manipulate the draft, been able to have long-term success with Seattle and everything. Bob Quinn was an underling. Matt Patricia was an underling, you know, and basically by going out and poaching somebody else's guy, all's fair in love and war, man. That's what I'm intrigued about. Is let's try something different. You know what I mean?
Hey, Sean, I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I got a question for both of you. How much of it do you think in Seattle that was John Schneider as opposed to Pete Carroll? Because the only reason the Lions are able to go after him and not violate the NFL's anti-tampering rules is because they can offer him full control, which he does not have with Seattle.
Yep.
So do you have both of you have any concerns about that, him being a potential GM and not having any full control in Seattle?
I don't personally, and I'll tell you why, because what they were able to do, and this is what made me love Ed Dodds, who eventually went on to Indianapolis and is still in the mix. What they were able to do in the draft, Corey, is that's where everything starts. You have to find those gems. You have to get those later round picks. You have to get those free agents like Joyce Bell that people didn't look at. And, you know, for one reason or another, whatever the case may be, were kind of disrespected. And you were. I know you're not going to admit that. I'll tell anybody that.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody that watched that guy play, he's an NFL talent, and he proved it. But their ability to do that and have the long-term success that they had is what endears me.
Yeah, so it's not only about trying to find gems, so it's also the business, right? Trying to find talent like me for the cheapest price available, right? And so it's difficult to find that, but there are players out there like that, like a Tom Brady, guys like that. They are out there. Even people who weren't drafted, who went on to have long careers. And like I told you last week, you have to have a strong team. You have to have a strategic team around you, people that know how you think, know where your vision is, know what you need. And when we bring the next person in, that's the type of guy that we need. But how do we find that guy?
Yep.
What are we looking for? Like when they come in, what questions are we asking? What questions matter the most to us? These are the things that we, as the people hiring the people to come in, these are the questions we need to ask ourselves. What direction do we want to go? Right? They've already told you that they're not football people, they're business people, and we want to bring somebody in to run the football team to the best of their ability and turn this franchise into a winning franchise. And I think that's hard to do. These questions are hard to ask, but that's why they bring in football people that loves the team, who loves the city, to help them decipher what questions to ask and what not to ask.
Well, and I think you brought up a great point. While like Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia didn't have like the full experience, I openly admit this. You guys can kill me for this. You probably already have. I was all in on Bob Quinn. I loved Bob Quinn because there's a difference between being able to say all the right things, and he did. Bob Quinn's vision for what he wanted for a football team, I'm convinced, got him the job in Detroit.
Right.
The follow-through is the most difficult part. We can talk about all those things. Yeah. We can talk about how we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to build through the draft, but then it's the follow-through that counts. And I think that's what differentiates a guy like John Schneider and Bob Quinn for me. Bob Quinn can talk the talk, but he hasn't done it yet, whereas Schneider did it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like any player going into a game, right? Any professional player going to any sport, any game. Every player wants to win. No player goes to the game saying, you know, I don't think we're going to win this game. I've never played a game where I went into it and said, you know what, we're going to lose. It's never happened, right? What makes a person successful in their field, in any field, is execution.
Yep.
You can game plan all you want. You can do all these different things. If you don't go out there, you don't execute, it's pointless. It's pointless. And no matter what your vision look like, if you can't execute, then you won't have a job for long in any industry. Just period.
Well, you know what's interesting about this? And Kenny, you brought up this point, and Corey, this comes right back to what you brought up. And we're going to get into what happened yesterday. We're going to talk about the NFL playoffs. We have to talk about college football. Kenny said, don't we need a GM before we need the head coach? Corey, this goes back to what you said. All right, you want John Schneider. You want to give him total control, right? Let's think about that. You want to give him total control. Well, doesn't that include the head coach? To me, like Kenny, what you're saying is 100% true. In any situation, I think you want the general manager first, but especially if you're telling a guy like John Schneider, you know what the difference between us and Seattle is? We're going to say, here, this is yours. At the end of the day, if you are adamant that Joyke Bell should be on the team, that is going to supersede whoever your coach's mentality is. Well, if you're going to tell a guy that you want full control, wouldn't that include the first hire as a head coach?
Most definitely. That's why I'm just kind of confused about the order. Like, I was thinking, I know that the process for probably hiring a GM is a lot longer than what I would think it is, but I would think you would have the GM in place before you grab the coach. Maybe I'm thinking wrong about it or not. I don't know.
Kennedy Broadwell, are you familiar with her work? Are you guys familiar? Kennedy, you brought up a really good point here. And Joyke, I think you can speak to this with some of your boys maybe still on the team. But Kennedy said the difference between a guy like Matt Patricia and Urban Meyer, Herbs builds relationships with his players. He's notorious for having the team over for dinners, hang out, et cetera, unlike Patricia, who came in and was a total a-hole before even knowing the guy. There is more validity to that statement than anybody wants to give it credit for. And it's funny because, in my opinion, from the outside looking in, okay, I saw that happen. It was almost like, and Corey, I don't know if you agree, it was almost like after the first year he kind of went, okay, I got to try to get along with these guys. You know, because at first he came in going, I'm Matt Patricia, I made one of the best, calls in Super Bowl history, and I'm a genius, and everybody's calling me a rocket science and everything. But Joyke, now this is where you come in. As a player, you're going, huh? What, are you trying to be a dick? Are you trying, you know what I'm saying? And I think that was, Kennedy, I agree with you. I think there's more validity to that than maybe anybody wants to agree because, Joik, at least make an effort. One can be authoritative, one can be a head coach, but one can also be a human being, right?
I think so. Let's pivot. I want to talk about the Lions-Vikings.
Do we have to?
We're a sports show, so
Okay.
I think we got to.
You know what? I promise you we'll get to the college stuff, okay? Because Joik and I were having a pretty good conversation before
Actually,
the show.
you know what? I see how it's stressed. We can go to college.
You want to do that first?
Let's just do college first, and then give you time to
I felt
simmer
my
down.
blood pressure rolling already.
Let's give you time to.
I flipped off the NFL so many times yesterday. It was incredible. What'd you think? Were you shocked at Ohio State? So many people said shocked. Were you shocked at?
You know what though? I'm gonna tell you why they said that they were shocked. Because they haven't played a team on Clemson caliber this entire season, so they didn't know how it would be, and so I think this was a good test for them. I'm excited for this Alabama game with them, with Ohio State. I'm excited.
Big time.
It's going to be a scoring game. It's going to be whoever defense can hold, I guess, the other opponent under 40 points.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
I think Ohio State might have a little bit of a better defense, run defense than Alabama.
Alabama's defense isn't good.
Yeah, I think they have a better run defense. The game that really impressed me when they played Indiana and had them in negative rushing yards. That was impressive to me. And I think that's going to be a good game. I think the closest game Alabama had this year was Florida. In that game, they held the opponents to like 54 rushing yards. I think in order for them to win, they're going to have to make the teams one-dimensional, make them have to pass the ball. But, both quarterbacks are playing at a high level right now. And so
it is amazing to me because, I'm not shocked that Ohio State won. I'm shocked they won the way they won. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. That's why people are shocked because they haven't played a team of that caliber.
Yeah.
Now, they won games like that throughout the season, but a team that's coming in the semifinals that is supposed to be one of the top-tier teams is pretty impressive.
I think Bama's got too much offense. Nick Saban is one move ahead of everybody else. I mean, that's just the way it's been for a long time. And it was interesting. I don't know if you caught this. This is something we've seen it in the NFL.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for guys. I just saw our boy Bill Bentley chime in, okay?
Right.
Defenses are being punished now in football. They are. They're being punished. There are stupid calls going against defenses. There, all the pretty rules to make the pretty offenses and protect the pretty quarterbacks and all that stuff. Defenses are being punished. And I don't know if you saw this, but back in October, Nick Saban said, look, college football today it's like a race. It's all about the offense. So some of his teams in the past have had a good offense, but just a stingy defense. This isn't one of those teams.
No.
This is a super offense. So I think that goes to your point, Joik. This is going to be a track meet. This could be 49-42. 42-35,
now,
45-31, some crap like that.
Now, who do you think has the most weapons on offense? Alabama, Ohio State?
Boy, oh boy.
I think Ohio State might have more weapons, and the reason I say that is because
Bama has better weapons? Does that make sense? Ohio State might have more, but
weapons.
Bama has better?
Yeah, we'll say that. All right. And I wouldn't say that if they still had Jalen Waddle.
For the second half of this season.
No, and you know what it comes back to?
And he is slow to get up.
At the end of the day,
well, again, it's RPO, which means there's a run play call, and Mac Jones is reading and counting numbers, and Notre Dame had more numbers committed to stop the run, and he just raises up and throws the quick slant to Devontae Smith.
It's almost like they're punishing defense. It's exciting.
Doomed if you do, doomed if you don't.
Man, I mean, really, that's what it is. Some of these scores, and I think the championship next Monday will be that.
Yeah, it'll be that.
Our boy Bill Bentley said Ohio State's going to get drilled, by the way.
He thinks so. They said the same thing when they about to play Clemson. They're going to get drilled then, too. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
It's going to be in Justin Fields' hand. They're going to throw the ball. It's going to be in Mac Jones' hands. They're going to throw the ball. We'll see what happens.
You know the thing that I can't, and I'm sure everybody's seen it. Corey, maybe you can play the clip now. And Joik, I'm going to let you talk about this because I couldn't do this on accident. Devontae Smith is just sickening. So Corey,
For the second half of the season.
Just talented, scoring at all angles.
And he is slow to get up.
I saw a couple draft boards and a couple.
Well, again, it's RPO,
people
which
saying
means
that,
there's a run
scouts
play
really
call.
see this guy as 40 times.
And Mac Jones is
Why does that
reading and
matter?
counting numbers. And Notre Dame.
Why does that matter? I don't understand. One of the greatest receivers of all time had a terrible 40 time. That doesn't mean you get open, you make plays. You want a guy that can run a 4.2 40 who can't catch. You want a guy that can run a 4.6 who can make plays and get open. You know, some people have football speed, and I don't care what 40 time he runs, he make plays. He had multiple games with 200 plus yards receiving, multiple games of 100 yards receiving. Now, I love the way he stepped up when Jalen went down. When Jalen Waddle went down, and he stepped up, and when the team needed him to make plays, he made plays. And you can't
scout, and he's planning to come in one day with us this week. But he and I have made the joke about the combine, the underwear Olympics for years. These people that get wrapped up in 40 time, I don't get it. I'm sorry, I don't. I want the guy that's going to make plays. You can run like a gazelle. You know, congratulations, you can run like a gazelle. You know, you're going to make a play, and it doesn't ever take into account. For example, like the play that you had against Indianapolis. Doesn't take that into account.
No.
Nobody's, listen, you're on the field.
You know what's funny?
There's a different gear that kicks in. That's instinctual,
You know,
baby.
it was a scout at that game from Oakland.
Oh, yeah? No kidding.
Yeah, it was a scout at that game. I think when that play happened in Indianapolis, I think that's when he left. And I think he told, I guess, somebody in the higher up at the university that's going to get him drafted.
Yeah.
It didn't get me drafted.
Here's one
Good
for
call.
you. If it was all about speed, Usain Bolt would be an all-pro. Golden Tate wasn't the fastest guy. He got open, caught the ball, and made moves once he caught it.
Yeah.
Yak, Mr. Yak. Give me Mr. Yak.
But you know, he has deceptive speed.
Yeah.
And so we don't have this clip up, but he has a catch when I think Calvin was out. But he has a catch on the sideline. We're down by, I think, 2 or 3 scores. But he catches it on the sideline. It takes it 70. Takes about 70 yards and gave us that momentum. And to take anything 70 yards in the NFL, you have to have some type of speed. And he has speed.
That do you remember the catch? Were you back with the team by then? In 16, that catch that beat the Vikings, and then he leaped into the end zone. I don't know if you were back with the Lions back then. But that's another play. It's like he outran everybody. He knew where the end zone was. Mm-hmm. He did a backflip to get into the end zone. Yeah. I'm sorry, that's a different gear that you're not going to find with your stupid stopwatch, man.
No. Golden is one of those players who can turn it on and off. He has that switch. He has that switch. I can't. It's not too many players who have that, but he has that switch where he can cut it on and cut it off, going 100-mile-per-hour and just stop on a dime. And he just, I don't know, he's hard to bring down.
Notre Dame shots aside, and I always laugh because you can rip on Notre Dame all you want, but here's the reality. Everybody in this area would love to be where Notre Dame was and has been a couple times now. We can laugh at them and say that they're not in that top 3, but I'll tell you what Michigan State fan wouldn't like to get to the playoffs? Michigan State has been there once, got drilled by Bama. Michigan hasn't been there yet. We can make every joke that we want about Notre Dame. I'm going to give them a tip of the cap because they've been able to be a very good football team. Their problem, like everybody else pretty much in college football, is they're not Ohio State, they're not Alabama, they're not Clemson, and you get the occasional LSU that come in. But I'll tell you what, to me, Joy, Brian Kelly's done a pretty darn good job in Notre Dame. And that game was closer than I thought, to be honest with you, because when that game started and Bama scored those touchdowns, I was like, holy shit, this is going to get ugly real fast.
It's going to get ugly.
And it was a 17-point win, but I thought it was going to be
more
a
than
50-point win. I mean, the way that game started, you know? So, By the way, you brought up Devontae Smith. I'm not allowed to talk about this. They're really adamant about it. But when the Heisman is awarded, I'll tell you who I voted for. If that doesn't give you a hint. I didn't say anything. But they're really adamant in the last few years in this era of social media. We aren't allowed to talk about it. We aren't allowed to talk about who we voted for beforehand.
Okay.
Like they threaten, we'll take your vote away.
I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna just tell you this: that if Devontae does not win it, you can just call it the Quarterback of the Year award.
I'd love to say something right now, but I'm not going to. How's that?
I said it for you. If he doesn't win. If he doesn't win,
say anything.
He didn't say it. I haven't talked to Sean at all.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah, we haven't talked.
I'll tell you.
I don't know who he voted for.
I'll tell you tomorrow.
We'll tell you tomorrow. But if he does not win it, you can just call this the Quarterback of the Year award.
You know what's weird is we get so for people that don't know how it works, you get a ballot in the email. You get a ballot in the email from the trust, and you have like a link that works one time. And what people don't understand with the ballot is you're only allowed 3 guys. So it's funny because I've had, like, oh, dude, say you were a D1 guy, you should put Joyce Bell's name in there or anything. And it's like, no, I can't do that. Rank somebody 5, 6. You have 3 spots. You type in the names, you press send, and it's like, poof, everything disappears. It's just gone. You can't go back. The link disappears, everything. That's how it works. It's really... It's some
some secret society type stuff.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, ooh, It's kind of funny how that works out. But,
yeah. I mean, I'm not at that level yet. You're one of those guys.
Pretty cool when I got that phone call. I'm not gonna. Sean, you could talk about who you didn't vote for. That's a really good point.
Yeah, that really is a good point.
I want to make a joke, but I'm respecting the process, and I'm not going to say anything.
Amby just tapped in. What's up, Amby?
Pleasure. All right, so Ohio State flexing. I don't know what Dabu was doing, ranking him 11. I don't get it. You're begging for trouble, and you got trouble.
He gave them bulletin board material. That's what he was doing.
That's exactly it. Hey, Joy, you know what? Corey, I'm glad that you brought that up. How much, or how should I say this? How real is the bulletin board stuff? Do we as fans and media make too big of a deal about bulletin board stuff? Or is that stuff that really affects you guys at the collegiate and NFL level? How real is that bulletin board stuff? Do we make too big of a deal about it?
You talk about the draft board?
Yeah, no. If somebody disses your team the week of a game, and you hear, oh, they're going to put that up on the bulletin board. Does that come into it, or do we make too big of a deal about it?
I guess it depends on the team.
Yeah.
Depends on the team. I don't really when I was playing. I kind of shut out the media. I didn't really look at what they were saying. Coach Caldwell was very adamant on not being distracted by outside noise and not getting too high and never getting too low, but trying to stay mellow until the job is finished. And so not really. No, we never really worried about what other people said, but about what other people were doing. We focused on us.
Is that more of a college thing then? Not NFL? Is it more?
It might be a college thing, but even in college, it was one thing that a coach said something to me about. He said that my yard per carry was higher than my GPA or something like that. And so the following semester, I was on the athletic directors athletic directors list. I think you need like a 360 to be on it. So I guess.
My man.
Yeah, but my yard per carry was still higher, so I guess he was right.
My man.
Yeah.
So it is Ohio State. It is Alabama. Let's get it out of the way. It's a week from now. I can't wait. But I'm going to go around the room. I'm going to ask all of you for who you think it's going to win. Give me a score. I hate to put you guys on the spot, but get it out of your mind. Corey with a K, I want to start with you. Who you got?
You know what? I'm going to go with an upset. I'm going to go Ohio State, and I'm going to go something stupid like 35-21.
Whoa! A 2-touchdown win against Bama?
Here's why I'm saying it. I really do think that Ryan Day is a great motivator, and I think he has them juiced up to show the Big Ten, to prove something to the Big Ten and prove something to the rest of the world. Just like how Dabo had ranked them 11th, I believe that whether the bulletin board material stuff works or not, I really do believe that got them pumped up for that game, and I think that's going to carry over into the next one. That's just me.
He has one loss. I mean, think about that. In his time at Ohio State, he's got one loss. I mean, it's insane. All right, Fish, who you like?
Alabama 35-28.
Well, you guys are going low with the scores.
Ooh.
Kennedy, who you got?
Bucks, baby.
Really? For
What's the
real?
score? What's
I'm
the
from Toledo.
But you're not speaking with your heart. You
What's the
really
score?
think that?
Oh, 100%. I'll say 42-35.
Joy, who you got?
I have Ohio State 45. I have Ohio State 45-42.
See, I'm thinking that same way, but Bama. I'm thinking like in that area. I'll say almost like the Florida.
I might even
game.
say 48-45. I just know it's
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. It's going to be in the 40
I'm going to
because
say 49-45. I think literally you got two offenses that are going to run up and down the field on each other. Now that I said that, it's as good as a 13-10 game. But no, honestly, I'm the same way. I think you got two offenses that are just going to run up and down the field
honestly
on each other.
I think that both Alabama and Ohio State offenses is better than both teams' defenses. We just got to see who can contain who the best.
Yep.
That's what it's going to be. Whoever wins the turnover game is going to win the game.
Yep.
That's what it's going to be.
Listen, we're going to transition. We're going to talk to the Lions. We'll get into the NFL playoffs as well, including a game that I've already dubbed the Bell Bowl. Yes, there's a Bell Bowl the first weekend of the NFL playoffs. I bet you can figure out which one it is. We will get into that. And of course, we have to talk about, almost in succession, two of the worst calls I've ever seen in the National Football League. One.
Does it remind you of the ghost face mask? Or was it worse than that?
This one to me was worse because it's a what could you have done? And I'll get your thoughts on that as well. Maybe if Bill Bentley's still watching, maybe get Bill Bentley's thoughts on it. Because again, if I'm a defender, I'm saying to myself, I quit. I don't know what the bleep to do anymore. We'll get into that. Don't you go anywhere. He's Joy Bell. I'm Sean Baligian. Glad you can join us on the Woodward Sports Network.
Welcome to Grow Green, the green standard for garden supplies here in Michigan over the past 10 years. We offer the best gardening and lawn care products and have an extremely knowledgeable staff to help you create your dream garden or make your yard the envy of the neighborhood. Shop the store located in Whitmore Lake or online at growgreenmi.com. Delivery and curbside pickup available. Grow Green, making Michigan greener one grower at a time.
We wake up every day with a choice. Keep going down the same unfulfilling path or start chasing the life we dream about. At Northwestern Tech, we want to make that choice easier by allowing you to keep working your job while training for a real career in heating and cooling. And our hands-on program is only 10.5 months. So getting in the field and building a career and actually waking up with a purpose could be a lot easier than you think. Northwestern Tech, the HVAC school that works.
What is up? Glad you can join us. I don't want to talk about this game. And people have asked, the Lions are picking 7th for the record because Philly waved the white flag last night, which was an embarrassment to the National Football League. Anybody that stayed up late and watched that game, that's an embarrassing thing. Hey, listen, I don't begrudge Philly for doing it. Mm-hmm. If I'm Philly, I'm sitting the same going, we're picking 6, man. Why would we win this game? And come on, for competitive reasons, all of that stuff, it was a joke. Let's call it for what it is.
I'm going to tell you this. Did they have a shot to make the playoffs?
Nope.
What they were doing as players are saying, listen, let's get out this game healthy. Let's get into the offseason. Let's start getting healthier. We got the 6th pick, but players not really thinking about the 6th pick. They're thinking about getting out the season healthy.
Yep.
Just get out healthy. We're going to play. We're not really playing for anything right now except for pride. And right now, our health is more important than our pride. It would have looked like.
Our mutual friend, Lomas Brown, was talking about that yesterday. He goes, We aren't thinking about draft position. We aren't thinking about
That's not our
anything.
job.
You know, nobody's. That's not one concern to anybody. You know, in that room, and that's something that I think we have to remember. Meanwhile, losers like me have Tankathon up and are repeatedly refreshing it to see where the Lions are minute by minute in regards to the draft. Now we know they're at 7. As I mentioned, I'm going to have my buddy Scott Bischoff come in one day this week, whether it be in person or whether it be in Zoom, and he'll talk about some of the guys that might be there at 7. But Joik, I got to get to it because to me, everybody's talking about the sack that wasn't, and I don't think enough is being said about Marvin Jones. I really don't, because a couple weeks ago, you might remember, all right, in the game against Green Bay, I stuck up for the NFL. And people get mad at me when I do that, but I'm sorry, I have a job to do. I have to speak legitimately, right?
Right.
The idea of instant replay is the call on the field stands unless there's something 100% undeniable that shows that he caught the ball, that he dropped the ball, that he fumbled the ball, right?
Right.
So while I think that Marvin Jones caught the ball against Green Bay and it was a sick catch, there was nothing definitive in that view that said, wow, he caught that ball. I think he did. Okay? So I had to agree with the NFL on that. And people are going, oh, why do you hit the Lions? Why do you hit? And it has nothing to do with the Lions. That's the rule.
He's setting up for his big punchline. Go ahead, Sean.
Yesterday was the direct opposite. It was the direct fucking freaking opposite yesterday. The rule.
You had it right the first time.
I did. The rule, again, states that it has to be undeniable, irrefutable proof, right? Show me in that video where the ball touched the ground. You can't, it doesn't exist. And so that's what drives me nuts about the National Football League. Be consistent. I'm on your side by the letter of the rule, okay? Partisanship aside, be consistent. There's no video evidence that ball touched the ground. And we had Marvin on after the post-game show yesterday.
Right.
And Marvin said he talked to the official and he goes, what's up? You know, what's going on?
Yeah.
And he goes, well, the ball moved. And Marvin's like, it can move. It's okay if the ball moves as long as it doesn't touch the ground. You know, so it was almost like the official didn't even know the damn letter of the law. So when you go to video replay, again, whether we like it or not, the rule is it has to show irrefutable evidence that ball touched the ground. We never saw it. It wasn't there. It doesn't freaking exist.
It didn't exist.
No, and so we'll get to the tackle in a second, but to me, I'm more surprised that people aren't going nuts about that one because that's a problem. So many
what quarter was that in?
Fourth. That was fourth.
So it'll be magnified.
Yes.
It should be magnified.
Yes.
I thought that was like early. I thought that was like mid-third.
That was after the more egregious call.
Right.
Well, here's the problem that I had, and I know it's going to come up here, you know, to people that are watching. I get draft pick. I get that the Lions should have lost that game. I get all of it, okay? Please I think it's short-sighted. And some people are going, well, it's because the Lions suck, and that's what you get for supporting them. Don't be so short-sighted. And what I mean by that is this is bad for the league. What if this happens in a playoff game against the Dallas Cowboys? What if this happens this weekend? It's bad for the league, man. That's something that should be fixed.
It's bigger than the Lions. It's bigger than tanking. It's bigger than the Lions just being a bad team. It's the fact that they continuously find themselves on the receiving end of these bad calls year after year.
Year after year.
It's getting kind of old. It's like
it's the definition of what, Corey?
Insanity?
It's the definition of Detroit versus everybody.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
And it's getting out of hand. Like yesterday when Tracy Walker.
Is your mic on?
Yeah, it should be.
Okay, all right.
Should be on. I don't know what's going on. But Tracy Walker clearly sacked Kirk Cousins. And the whole Lions sideline cheered. The fans that were there, pretty sure the families, they got up in arms and were cheering. Thought the Lions had a chance to come back. Then when it got reversed, you heard, even from the side, even from up in the club park, you heard a lot of F-bombs. Because it was just clearly a sack, and it's getting kind of old when you see the rule book get rewritten. like I think one time, it was against the Falcons. They had the clock run off, the Calvin Johnson catch. They just start to add up.
Yeah,
and it's kind of hard to remember which one are we gonna win. I don't get it. It's
incredibly frustrating. And Joy, we were just talking about it last week. Everybody talks, going back to the game against Dallas, everybody talks about picking up the flag, and I get that. To me, it's the no-brainer, no gray area things that bother me the most, okay? The opinion stuff is one thing, okay? Dez Bryant running on the field with his helmet off is a penalty 100 times out of 100 times.
And we can talk about that.
There's no debate about that.
We have to play so well as a Detroit Lion organization, the players, coaches. We have to coach so well, we have to play so well, that we have to eliminate the refs out of the game entirely. Get a score so egregious that the refs can't, nothing they can say can turn the game around, right? Nothing that they can do. And we're to that point now. And I would say even after they made those terrible calls yesterday, we were still in a position to win. We still had another chance to go down and win. When they made that horrible call in Dallas that year, we still had an opportunity to go down and score.
Love to hear that.
Right. We still had an opportunity to go down and score.
Yep.
All right. So we have to be able to take advantage of every opportunity that we have, because we're not going to get that many. And if we do get that many, we're playing against, I guess, 15 on the field. We're playing against a lot of people on the field. So we have to play well enough to eliminate the refs out the game, and the coach would tell us that. All right, and it's sad to say, but this how. I'm not going to say like the NFL has it up for Detroit Lions. I'm not going to say that, but it seems that way.
It is funny. I tweeted something out yesterday, Joik, and it got retweeted like 90 times. Where I was the guy, and I probably had this conversation with many of you. I was the guy that when people talked about conspiracy theories against the Lions, I said, stop it. Knock it off. Stop it, okay? When I see it happening, the way you described, over and over and over and over, okay?
For decades.
And the way that it happened yesterday, in succession, in succession like that, I can't blame one human being for saying something like that. I can't. Because, honestly, as I sat at home yesterday, and now let's go to the Tracy Walker. We'll go in reverse order. You tell me as a football player, Joy, what that guy could have done differently on that play. He comes in on a blitz. He's got a clear lane to the quarterback. He tackled the quarterback. Even did the whole wrap-up thing. Brought him down. And then you got this official saying he put his weight on him. What? He didn't drive him into the turf. And he used, I don't know if you saw it, Paula Pash, who does a great job. Paula Pash had an interview, the pool reporter with the official, and he said, yes, these guys are taught technique, and yes, he should have done a barrel roll. What? He's coming in on a blitz on a quarterback on a fourth down. He goes and makes a tackle. That is a tackle. There's no other way to say it. And you see something like that, and you're like, is this what the league wants? So this is where I say, if you're a non-Lion fan and you're watching right now, okay? You're probably playing these guys are whining. Here they go with Detroit against everybody. I want you to watch that play, and I want you to insert one of your defensive backs, your safety, your corner, whatever the case may be, and that call happens against your team. That's bad for the league, man. That is a football tackle.
That's bad football. All right? That's bad football. Don't tackle them like that, all right? That's bad football. I don't like the with everything that's going on outside of football, outside the NFL with lawsuits, they're trying to make the game as safe as possible, but they're taking the integrity away from the game.
Yep.
Is this really football now? What are we doing? Are we trying to save face? Are we saying that come on, we understand that the quarterback are the most important, pieces on the field, but at the same time, this is football. All right, and you can't call plays like that in games like this, in situations like this. You can't do it. This is a rivalry game. This is a rivalry. And I don't know if refs get that or not, but I know we don't have a shot to get into the playoff, but we're playing for pride now. And I appreciate the way the Lions played yesterday. I appreciate that. We made mistakes, but I appreciate the effort that they gave yesterday. But
I always said, honestly, our defense shouldn't have allowed as many points as they did week after week. Don't leave the game in the refs' hands. We need to revive this defense, complete rebuild. I agree, this defense was historically bad, all of that. You're right, except for one part. To me, this is bad for football. This isn't a Lion thing. I say to anybody, could you imagine watching a game this weekend? It's the end of the Bell Bowl, and I'll get to the Bell Bowl in a second.
Yeah.
It's the end of the Bell Bowl, and you have a situation where Drew Brees gets sacked on a 4th down at the 5-yard line, and the celebration begins, and somebody throws a flag because that tackle happened. How do you justify that? Like, this is, to me, it goes beyond the Lions. This is an NFL problem, man. It really is. And that's, as you said, I think you put it very succinctly. What are we doing here? Is this what we want the league to be?
I don't know, but I think just to be on the safe side, that I think all the defensive players that have like some type of pillow attached to like their hip, and other players that have like blankets, and then we can just lay the quarterback down, put his head on a nice pillow, cover him up, tuck him in, and hopefully we won't get a penalty for that. It's getting to that point.
Yeah.
It's getting to that point.
Demetrius said, my opinion, Marvin Jones should have 3 touchdowns by now. Explain the no-catch rule. I don't know. And clearly, if I'm to assume that Marvin Jones' conversation with the official on the field was correct, and I have no reason not to believe that it is, clearly the officials don't know what the no-catch rule is.
And if that was Marvin Jones' last game as a Lion, he went out with a bang.
Too bad.
8 for 180.
Man, I'm
Those
telling
some great
you,
numbers.
I would love to see that guy stick around. I don't blame him or anybody else. This goes back to a conversation we had right away. I'm never going to look at a guy and go, how could you leave? You betrayed us. You guys yearn for that moment where you contest free agent waters. You props to you. If you can go get the money, go get the money, man.
Get it. How old is Marvin Jones now? 30, 31? 30, so he'll be 31 going into next season?
Yeah.
And so for him, he needs to go get his money now.
Good.
Go get your money.
I wish he could get it here. It would be great if it was here.
I think he deserves it.
I don't begrudge one human being think about it. You have an opportunity to break the bank and set your family up like for generations to come via free agency. Who the hell is going to tell that guy, don't do it, man? Don't do it. That's not my place. It'd be great if it happened here. I don't think it will. I've been wrong before. I don't think it will. But best of luck, Marvin, if that's the case. Best of luck. You deserve to get a big payday. I'm not.
He deserves it.
Yeah. Same thing with Golden. I love Golden. I love Golden personally. I love him as a football player. I wish that it would have turned out differently. I'll give Bob Quinn credit. He knew damn well that Golden Tate wasn't going to stay here, so he traded him. I mean, to me, get something for that. Like, I think it goes both ways,
How do you know Golden wasn't going to stay here?
He wasn't going to stay here.
How you know?
They didn't have the money. He's going to get too big of a contract. He's going to get too big of a contract. If there was more cap space, maybe, but I don't think that that contract that he eventually signed, I don't think the Lions could have signed it. Would have been nice.
I want to know. So this is what we never talk about.
All right.
That and correct me if I'm wrong, Corey. Correct me. But a lot of the teams in the NFL, I'm not gonna say every team, but before this new CBA, every team wasn't using all of their cap space.
I know.
Right? And so that percent that they capped, right, will go back to the owners. So I think at one point in time, the Lions might have been using 88% of the salary cap. And the other 12% will go back to the owner instead of to the players. And so we negotiated in the new CBA, when I was playing, that every year they would have to spend a certain amount more. And so by the time this new CBA started, they'll be at 100% on the salary cap, right? And so they can't decipher who that money goes to. They might give that money to Stafford, or they might give it to Calvin, or they might give it to a Sue, or they might give it to a Reggie, right? So they can't decipher who that money goes to. but they can make sure that they spend it, right? And so that cap space stuff, that doesn't fly with me. Like, we have the money to go out and get these good players. We need to start. And I'm glad now they're to a point now where they have to spend this money.
No, and that's the way it should be. Really, that's the way that it should be. And that's why I'm always going to stick up for the players in this regard. And I'm not just saying this because you're next to me. Yeah. You are pigeonholed where you're drafted. Let's get that out of the way first. If you're a first-round pick, you're pigeonholed in this, and every agent is going to look at the precedents. This is what the average has been for the guy using the Lions draft pick this year. Taken 7th overall, this is the average money, okay? This is the average money for the second rounder, third rounder, fourth rounder, so on and so forth. Guys that are picked up via free agency, it doesn't matter how much people love you, you're going to be pigeonholed in that money. So if you get an opportunity to sign that big contract,
oh yeah,
you jump.
You jump.
Kidding me?
Are you serious? Yes. So I remember when I got the call for my contract. I'll never forget it. I was in Washington D.C. I was with my 2 business partners, which one just so happened to be my best friend. And it's around March. It's around the contract time, and my agent gives me a call, random call. He usually calls me when there's like money involved. So I answer the phone. I say, what's up? He said, Detroit just called me. And I said, what's going on? So they want to offer you 8.2. I said, 8.2. And my best friend is in the front seat. And I said, 8.2 what, million? And he said, yeah. I said, I'm not paying for that. And I never thought in a million years that I would be turning down $8 million, right? But I kind of knew my worth. And I said, I'm not playing for that. Like, that's, like, we can counter back at them. So we counter back. And then they came back. My number is a little bit higher than 8.2, obviously. And they came back and said, listen, we don't want to go back and forth. Give us a legitimate number, and you'll get it. I said, okay. So I gave them a number. They stuck with it. They said, listen, we'll give you a higher. They said, we'll give you a higher
guarantee.
A higher guarantee than what we gave Reggie. And I'm like, there's no competition. I'll take that. Like, that's fine. I'll take that. And so I took that, and I ended up signing my deal. But they have it to give out, and even with what I signed, they still got a deal for what I felt I was worth. Because I would have held out, I probably could have got doubled that the following year. But everything ended up working out for me. Everything ended up working out, and so, and even if it wasn't what I wanted, I would have took a bit of a pay cut just to stay here in Detroit. Sure. And my family's here. Sure. My love for the state, my love for the city, my love for the team. I'm like, I'll take a pay cut for that, But as far as players having the opportunity to stay here, let us make the decision. Especially when we are playing at a high level, and Golden Tate was playing at a high level. Now let him choose if he wants to stay or go. But I guess being a GM, he has to do what he feels is best for the organization. So I don't fault him. But as a player, I would like to make that decision.
Do you know what people don't understand? And you touched on it. And by the way, hi, it's noon here on Woodward Sports. A lot of guys are talking about the draft on our Facebook page. I promise you, we are going to get into it hot and heavy this week. My boy Scott Bischoff. You can follow him on Twitter at Bischoff_Scott. Who's been covering it forever. I'm trying to get him in studio with us, Joik, to talk about not just what this draft looks like, but what those guys are looking for at the combine. Talk about those silly things like speed, all of that stuff. He was one of the guys that told me, hey, have you ever seen this Bell guy out of Wayne State? He knew the answer to that. Okay. Yeah, so he was one of those guys that did that to me back in the day, going back 10 years ago. So I'm trying to get him in studio. He's already said if he can't get in studio, he's going to come on Zoom with us one day this week to talk about all those things that they're looking for. Okay. And he's also a guy, Joik, and you'll appreciate this. He'll be the first one to say that Scott's put too much into that stuff. Well, how much did he deadlift? How much was... Hey, come on. I mean, those variables don't take into account what you see on the football field. But we'll talk about the quarterbacks in particular, because a lot of speculation out there that the Lions might go quarterback at 7. Who might be available? There are a lot of rumors out there about Matthew Stafford and that contract. I challenge people all the time. Educate yourself. Go to Sport Track. and look at what the price would be to deal him before June 1st and what it would be to deal him after June 1st. I'm going to say it again, in a perfect world, I would love to keep Matthew Stafford here for a couple more years and have that guy, that understudy under him. You know what I mean? That Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, that Patrick Mahomes to Alex Smith. That would be my ultimate scenario. We have to find out what 9 wants. I mean, how interested is 9?
Yeah.
Because if you take a quarterback in the first round, what you're telling everybody is this is a pick for the future, okay? This isn't going to help the Detroit Lions in 2021. That's one thing you have to take into consideration.
That's true. That's true.
I want to talk about contracts for a second because the average person doesn't understand this. And I don't mean to be condescending when I say this, okay? To people out there. When people hear $8.2 million, okay?
Right.
It's 8.2 in theory.
Right.
But the most important thing is that guaranteed money, right?
The guaranteed money is the most important part. All right. And so I asked for guaranteed money. And usually when you do a contract, you want to get as much of it up front in the first couple of years as possible because there's no guarantee you'll be with the team on the back end. And so I signed a 2-year extension going into my and so it was, I had to play this year, then I had another 2 years on top of that. They put all my guarantee money on the front end, but I was trying to get it put on my last year, and that kind of be forced to keep me. And they're like, oh, we can't do that. You know, so we tried to negotiate. And so, long story short, and then also when people hear 8.2 or my deal was 9.3, you got to think, the only thing that's guaranteed to you is I think my guarantee was 4.3.
Yep.
And then my salary was 2.5 for my 2 extended years. And so I didn't get my last year. They wanted me to take a pay cut. I told them, well, I'll take a, I'll take nothing less like a 25% pay cut. I'll go down from 2.5 to 1.8. I'll do that, to stay here in the city, to stay here in the city, to stay here with the team. I'll do that. And what they asked me to take a pay cut down to was disrespectful. And I said, I'll just walk away. And it wasn't like I needed. I didn't need the money. I said, you know what? I'll walk away.
Yeah. Fish, what do you got?
Chargers fire their head coach.
Yeah. Black Monday. That's what it is. Get ready.
Get ready.
It's funny because we had a conversation, Joik, about this off the air, and I told young Kennedy, who does a great job for us, I told Kennedy the contracts in my business aren't worth the piece of paper it's written on. Unless you get yourself a lawyer, you sign a contract in this business, it's not. I haven't signed a contract in 11 years. I won't. I'm not going to do it. I've seen it. There's this loophole that I know that we're supposed to pay your duration of the contract, but we're only going to pay 6 months of it. And I was like, well, I'm never signing a contract again. So I won't sign a contract. Just not going to do it.
Just not going to do it.
Not going to happen.
You know
what it is? It's almost like a stare down where they'll go, you have to sign a contract. And I'll go, well, I'm not going to sign a contract. Well, you have to sign a contract if you want to work here. And then you have the stare down, and it's like, well, how bad do you want me to work here? Well, we wouldn't be, okay, then let's just work here. I'm a man of my word. If I tell you I'm working with you for a year, I would rather die than not work with you for a year. And that would be the only way I didn't work for you for a year. Right. Does that make sense? If I'm dead, then I can't keep my promise to you. But if I say I'm going to work for you for a year, no matter what else happens, this is what I'm doing. That's the way I am. I'm old school in that regard.
So you're a man of your word.
I'm 1,000%.
I'm a man of contracts. I'm a man of contracts.
Do whatever works for you. You know what I mean? Seriously, this is.
It's just what. Yeah, honestly, this is what I'm. Just getting into business, it just taught me a lot.
Sure.
And when you get into, when you leave the football realm, you go into the business realm. There's not a lot of people with integrity, which is sad to say. Right?
Understatement.
Yeah, understatement. But for me, I had to learn, like, this is how it is. I took some hard lessons, We all learn. I learned a lot. And for me, if I'm doing any business with anyone, we always have to have a contract. I'm going through it. My legal team is going through it. My business manager is going through it. We're all going through it. And then once we feel comfortable and we feel like it's fair, then we'll have both parties sign.
If you're talking, let me fix it. If you're talking something long-term and you're talking, well then at that point in time I go talk to my lawyer and I hand my lawyer something. But I've seen so many loopholes in this business where, trust me, I'm not going to bore anybody with details, but it's like, seriously? Wow, you're soulless, and things like that. So, because of that, not going to happen. Not going to happen.
I feel you.
And we'll work it out, because the whole idea of non-competes and, don't get me started. I'm not going to get in that direction. But Lions picking 7 overall. Lots of comments. Somebody said, I want to get to what Ali said. We cannot go quarterback first round. Keep Stafford. Draft the best defensive players. And the next year, hold on, where did it go? I hate when it just disappears like that. I apologize.
I'm going to tell you what we draft. We draft defensive players and O-linemen. That's what we're going to draft.
We have 2 really good ones too, man. Can you imagine fixing that other side?
That's what we need. We need to draft defensive players in the trenches on both sides. That's what we need.
I'm going to give you the devil's advocate, we cannot go first quarterback. Keep Stafford. Draft the best defensive players next year under Stafford. Last year of his deal, you can bring in a quarterback to learn from Stafford for a year. You don't get rid of a quarterback that's putting up numbers like 9. I think you can have the best of both worlds. You can keep Matt Stafford, bring in a different quarterback. Here's my concern, okay? The Lions were historically bad this year, right? Can we agree?
Yeah.
Defensively especially, historically bad. Worse than 2008, and that's saying a lot. And you're still only picking 7 overall. So if you think the Lions are better than a 5-11 team, and I think they could be using the model that you gave, okay? A nip here, a tuck there. Let's say they're 6-10, they're 7-9. Well, then, do you find yourself in the position to grab that next quarterback of the future? You know what I mean? So that's the only, again, playing the devil's side of thing. That's the only thing that I would worry about. What if they mess around, they're better next year, and they go 7-9, and they find themselves picking around 15, 16? Well, are you going to get that undoubted quarterback of the future at that point in time? And I think that's the dilemma that the Lions find themselves in. For the record, let me state again, I keep 9. Let me get that out there.
Keep 9.
I understand both sides of the argument.
You think we're going to get a quarterback first round?
Yes, I do.
Who do you think we get?
I would love the kid from BYU, Wilson, but I don't know if he's there at 7.
All right.
I don't know if he's there. I don't know if he's there at 7.
Who else?
Contrast. How much did Justin Fields help himself out the other night?
He did.
Right?
He did.
He looked like a thrower.
Yeah.
He looked like a thrower.
I like him.
That's another reason I want to bring my boy Scott in, so you can ask him who the scouts are drooling over, because there's, and then there's some intriguing guys. Hey, listen, let's be honest. Patrick Mahomes wasn't the top-notch guy, if you remember. Patrick Mahomes was kind of in that second tier of quarterbacks. How'd that work out? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That doesn't mean that gems can't be found. Anybody remember Aaron Rodgers and the free fall he had on his draft day? It was painful watching Aaron Rodgers and that free fall. So there's no guarantee. I think the most important thing is a scout will tell you that. But I'm going to be really intrigued to see how the top of this draft goes, because there are going to be multiple quarterbacks being taken. It is by far and away the most important position in the National Football League today, especially the way they call the game.
How afraid are you of us bringing in a quarterback and the same thing happening to him happened to Dwayne Haskins?
I don't think, you tell me if I'm wrong, I don't think the Dwayne Haskins issues are talent. If it's a talent issue, then I would worry. Can you fix a guy's attitude? Can he get, like Ron Rivera said, a wake-up call? Have you ever played with a guy that like got a wake-up call and was just a different player after the fact? Do you remember one? I think Dwayne Haskins.
Who recovered?
Yeah. I think Dwayne Haskins' issues are between his ears and his maturity. Like, think, young man. Don't be dumb.
Yeah. I think that might be what it is with him. I don't think it's a talent issue. I think it's what we talked about before.
Yeah.
That in the locker room, being able to communicate with your coaches, being able to be a good teammate. Like the studying. I heard rumors about him not studying his playbook. And for people who don't know, we don't have the big binders.
The encyclopedia.
Yeah. We don't have that anymore. So we have these Surface Pads or these iPads that store all our playbooks. So if we lose our iPad or break it, they can just wipe the iPad from the database that they have back at the facility. And now you're not being charged $14,000 for a playbook. You're only paying for the iPad.
Yeah.
So when they give you these iPads or Surfaces or whatever they give you, when you go home, they're monitoring how much you're studying, how much you're logged into your Surface, into your iPad, into your playbook. You going over it, how much film you're watching, because your film is on there, your playbook is on there, your cut-ups, everything is on there. And so they're monitoring to see how much you're studying on a day-to-day basis. And that could have been a big issue with them making the decision that they made. Probably looking at, and they probably had conversations with them about it and saw no changes, and it just kind of went from there, and he wasn't producing on the field. And so that contributed to probably him not going over his playbook and then them releasing him.
Yep.
And so everything plays a big part in it. And people have to understand that when you're in this game, when you're in this NFL era of your life, your football career, so this is your life. From the time you're born till you live a long life to the time you die. This is the football right here. This small window. You know, this small window to build your brand, to be the best player you can be, to get as much money as you can, to fund different ventures that you might want to do once you're done playing, while you're playing. It's already this short. It's already this small. Don't make idiot decisions or not smart decisions and shorten that window even more.
You got it.
All right. This is only now once you make it to the NFL, that's your milestone. Like, that's one milestone. And now when you retire, which for me was, I wanted to get to 4 years. Once I got to 4, I said, okay, let me see. Let me try to get to 10 now, because I got my, I got my pension, I got everything, I'm vested. Let me try to get to 10. I got to 7, which is good, especially for a running back. And so I achieved my goal, right? And so for players out there, don't get a wake-up call. Just understand when you get to this level, become a professional, hang around professionals, and make sure you're surrounding yourself around the right people. Period. Because you don't want to end this short of what it should be.
Well said.
Yeah.
So much of it is maturity as well. And I like, don't be dumb. DBD. Kenny said DBD. Don't be dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so much of it happens. Let me give you an example. Here's a mock draft I just pulled up, okay? This goes to show you the premium on quarterbacks. And it's funny because a couple guys mentioned, let me see, Trey Lance got mentioned, Max Jones got mentioned. Darren, I'll get to your hockey question in a second. Here's a mock draft that I pulled up just right now, okay? And I'm a mockaholic, and the first sign of an issue is admitting that you have an issue. I'm a mockaholic. I look at so many mock drafts, I just do, okay? Here is a mock draft that came down from NBC Sports just a few minutes ago to tell you how important quarterbacks are. Trevor Lawrence 1 to Jacksonville. Justin Fields 2 to Ohio State. Zach Wilson 3. Zach Wilson's the guy I was telling you about from BYU
right.
to Miami, which that doesn't make sense to me. They said this isn't reactionary. Tua simply hasn't grabbed the starting job in Miami convincingly enough to warrant the Dolphins passing on another quarterback. I don't think they do that after year one. I could be wrong. Trey Lance, number 4. from North Dakota State going to Atlanta. The first 4 picks in this mock draft are all quarterbacks. Then you got Sewell from Oregon, who was the best offensive tackle out there. It's not even close. Jamar Chase from LSU going to Philly. And they have the Lions taking Jalen Waddle from Alabama. Okay? So this is what I'm talking about. We can talk about quarterback all we want, all right? But there's a chance that 3 or 4 guys, the top tier guys, are all going to go before pick 7. Which again reiterates how often do you find yourself in the position that they were in last year to take that quote unquote franchise type quarterback. It's a tough predicament, you know?
It's funny you just talked about Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
Right? You think he gets picked over Devontae?
I wouldn't. Me?
I mean, if you look at what he was doing before he got hurt, I mean, he was putting up some great numbers. Yeah. He was actually leading the team in receiving most of the games before he got hurt.
They have Devontae Smith going 11 for whatever it's worth. I'm going to look this up and see the next quarterback taken. They have Mac Jones going 14. Alabama's quarterback going 14.
Okay.
So he's the I guess you could say the next tier of quarterbacks after that.
And Justin Fields, you said was 2?
Justin Fields was 2.
Okay.
Then you have another quarterback after that.
Is Kyle Trask
going to 22?
Okay.
He's going. So guys like that are kind of like that second tier. It seems like those first quarterbacks are going to go, very quickly.
Right.
Now, might one of those guys be available at 7? Yeah, maybe, because I don't think the Dolphins take a quarterback. But that's what's so intriguing about it.
What do they take, though? What do they need? A little bit of everything.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
Here's the thing about Miami. They almost made the playoffs this year, too.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
It's amazing what can happen when you load up on draft picks.
If they beat Buffalo, they're in the playoffs, correct?
Yeah. Darren said, do you like USA's chances against Finland in the World Juniors tonight? I do, but the Finns are pesky. They showed that against Sweden. I don't think this is a strong USA team. I don't. I think, especially in a year, Canada's loaded. They're just, 21 first-round draft picks? It's crazy. But I can't wait for that. That Sweden-Finland game the other day was unbelievable. So you got to let me get my puck in every now and again. Guy said, I don't know if it's Guy or Guy, for every Stafford, there's a Manziel, Leaf, Haskins, Young. Be very careful when running your toes through that fresh green grass. I loved Ryan Leaf. There's another guy I missed on. Ryan Leaf at Washington State was unbelievable. And Ryan Leaf was Ryan Leaf's own worst enemy. And I'm glad that he's got his crap together big time now. You want to talk about a guy that gets it. He had some growing up to do. He had to get rid of some of his demons, and we all got our own demons. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to celebrate a guy that his life fell apart, went to jail, and you know what? Now he's doing well for himself. As a football player, he was an abject failure because of some of those demons. As a human being, you know what? It's great to see he's a father now. He got a job in the media. I love to see that stuff. I care about a human being first, and I don't care if I know the guy or not. You know what I mean?
You like those stories?
Yeah. You know what? You threw your NFL life away. I'm sorry. That sucks. Okay, but you know what? You're a man now. You overcame some crap. So I give tip of the cap to that, man. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They say
Jamarcus Russell.
They say we need to get a linebacker.
We need 3 linebackers.
But I really think we don't start there. I think we start in the trenches.
I agree with you.
I think we start in the trenches because a 3 technique can really make a linebacker job that much easier. I know when Tully played with Sue made his job so much easier. Nick Fairley, C.J. Mosley, Jason Jones, Ziggy Ansah, those guys made the linebacker jobs easier. And so I think that's where we start. The game is won in the trenches.
Yep.
I don't think people understand that. I think they think that games are won by big plays. But how do these big plays happen on offense? By your O-lineman giving your quarterback time to go through his progression, giving the receivers time to get the ball downfield. And that's how we make big plays. That's why we need to go at the O-lineman, D-lineman. And then start putting the pieces. I don't think our receiving core is not bad. It's not bad.
I love Cephas. I'm saying it again.
Yeah. Receiving core is not bad. Tight ends aren't bad. They're pretty good. Our defensive backfield needs some work, right? If we get 1 or 2 guys back there and some leadership back there, I think we'll be fine. We go get, one linebacker in the draft, go get another good linebacker in free agency with some good leadership in that room, and I think that's what we're lacking, is leadership along with talent. So that's where we have to start building, and it's about who's out there.
It's interesting because I've said this time and time again. Jared Davis, it isn't working. I mean, the effort is there, the work is there. It isn't working.
Is it not working because he came in as a young player and he doesn't have those big name people up in line making the job easier? Is it because of that?
Or is it they asked him to be something that he isn't and had him playing in a spot? Jared Davis is an attack guy. I use the term all the time. He's a dog chasing cars.
You think he's a cleaner?
I think so. That's just one man's opinion.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not going to sit here. I just know this. For a guy that just consistently misses the right gaps, that tells me put him in a position where, he's going to plug that gap. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
As opposed to it's so condescending. He's a dog chasing cars.
Yeah.
Car drives by and he's going to run in that direction, and oftentimes he picks the wrong route to go there.
Yeah.
Jelani Tavai.
I'd say the type of
National
defense
Football League player.
As running backs in this league, this is what I hated the most about playing against Green Bay. They were they were like not even gap scheming. Just 2 gap and just hold up and just wait for you to make that move, and then they just shed off and you make the I hated that with Green Bay. And so you had to set them up to make you think you're going here and get them to commit to that hole so you can, jump cut and hit the next hole. I hated that 2 gap scheme they did. I hated it.
Yeah.
I hated it.
It's fascinating to hear that stuff. I love that stuff.
I hate that with a passion. Now, at the same time, I kind of thrived off of it as well because I was able to help set up my old lineman with the blocks, and I loved it. I loved it. So as far as that aspect, but when I played teams who just 2 gap scheme, I didn't like it because you don't know what they're waiting for you to make a move. So if I'm about to hit this hole, they're trying to 2 gap and just kind of throw their body in that hole. And so as running backs, we kind of want you to kind of make your decision, and it makes our job that much more easier.
It's interesting to me because, I'm going to say it again. There are pieces that I think we have the best center in football. I think Taylor Decker has answered all the naysayers. I mean, he's a player, okay? Let's give him, He
stepped up.
Yeah, is he Pro Bowl perennial? I'm not saying that, but you know what? I feel good, and maybe this goes back to your point. Yeah. You know what? Taylor Decker is made better having Frank Ragnow there. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. So it takes a lot of pressure off of him, and then you go get in another 2 more O-linemen that are get 1 more good O-lineman, like really good O-lineman, and get one that's decent, that if he's around these other guys, he'll play to their level.
Sure.
Right. They'll bring him up. And that's one thing I liked about, I hate to say it, one thing I liked about Dallas. They had a good culture there with their O-line. A good culture. It was at one point in time that I felt like they could have put you back there in the backfield. You can have a 100-yard rushing game, Sean. Yeah. Oh yeah, with that O-line.
I'd have been grabbing on my knee. I'd have crying. You would have swelled.
Right. And so for me, I was lucky enough when I played. I played against some good O-linemen. Dom towards the tail end of his career, he wasn't the same, but he got the job done.
Yeah.
I played with some horrible O-linemen. Like, I'm not gonna call them out. I played with some horrible ones. That makes a big difference, man. I played with some terrible O-linemen. No, I'm serious. I'm not even joking. I'm like, man, how's this guy starting in the NFL? Like, how? I didn't understand it. Like, and I was young, so I it must be something I don't know, but I know talent, right? I know talent. But there was some guys that were playing that I just said, this might be your last year here. Yeah. And it was. That was their last year with the Lions, and they went to another team, played for one more year, and never played again. Like,
you know, and you bring up something. There's something to be said for continuity on a line and guys that come up playing together. Because your last year at Wayne State, you had a bunch of sophomores up there, right?
Mm-hmm.
By the time they were seniors, they were guys that were like this off the field, and they knew exactly what the other dude was going to do. I mean, that offensive line,
oh yeah,
the road graders, it was sick. And I mean, there were guys that all came up together. So by the time they were seniors, you had 5 assassins up there.
Yeah.
We're going to cause great bodily harm to you.
Oh yeah.
And it was fun to watch, you know.
So, because I'm trying to think, because I even had I think I had a freshman on the line. I had Ryan Jonick.
Mm-hmm.
I had some had a couple guys.
Joe Long.
Joe Long.
Yeah.
Had Joe Long there.
Wasn't Big Red up there? Was Curtis up there with you?
Yeah, Curtis Ferguson.
Yeah.
Big Ferg.
Yeah.
Big Ferg was there. And so, but I don't know if he was starting though.
Okay.
I know we had Joe Long at the left tackle.
Yep.
We had Ryan Jonick at the right tackle. Forget who the center was.
Give me a second, I'll tell you.
I forget who the.
I can't think of it right now. I apologize.
I forget who the center was, but I remember going into my senior season, and I remember I used to push my O-line. I was pushing them. I said, "This is my last go around. We have to go." And I remember I had surgery the year before, so I couldn't do any running. I got up to about 238, the heaviest I had ever been. And during that off season, I got to 217, and I was probably some of the best shape I had ever been in up to that point. And we made magic that year. We didn't end it the way that we wanted. It was tough. It's kind of tough to have a playoff potential team when you've had a different quarterback every year of your college career. Like every year we had a different quarterback.
Especially when you're starting a freshman. Senior year.
Oh yeah, you're starting a freshman. So it's tough to win games just running the ball.
Yeah.
Right? And we gave it a good shot. I think we started off the season, I think 4-2, then played Ashland for homecoming, and then we went up 5-2, and then after that we just went down. I think we ended up finishing like 6-4 or something like that. 6-5.
That rain game at Hillsdale, it rained harder than I've seen it. It was just rained and rained. Mm-hmm. And everybody talks about that game the year before against Indy, where it rained and rained and rained and rained. Remember that in the pouring rain?
Was that a home game or away?
Yeah, home game.
Yeah, well, I do remember that.
You guys caught a kick for the score, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I did. I was actually hurt that game.
Oh, no kidding? See, I wasn't there that
I was hurt.
Those are the 2 rain games that everybody talks about. Mm-hmm. That game down in Hillsdale where I've never seen it rain like that.
I played, but I was not myself. I couldn't cut. I couldn't run anything. Good old times. Old Wayne State. The glory days. Yeah, the green and gold.
You've got 2 pieces on the line. You got Hawkinson, which I'm going to say it again. If you have doubts about Hawkinson, you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
The kid's a player.
He is a player.
I don't know how good he's going to be. If you want to debate that they shouldn't have taken him as high as they did, you can have that debate. That's fine. That guy's a player. I want that guy for the next 10 years. You know, there are some questions at wide receiver. In a perfect world, you give Cephas more of an opportunity. You pay the man his money with Marvin Jones. Kenny's the $1 million question. What do? I feel bad for the guy. You know, this is his opportunity to go make some money, right? Mm-hmm. And he didn't have it. He was on the cusp of breaking out, man. But you got that hip injury now, and you know whether guys believe in you or not is inconsequential. They're going to go cheap on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kenny.
Yeah,
I love you, man, but
that's the name of the game.
You're worried about that hip injury, bro.
And that's why you can't fault Marvin Jones for leaving out and going to get that bad, because you're the hottest thing. You're a commodity, all right? You're everyone. The NFL needs you. You know, yeah, you're great. You're this. You're that. And when you get to that negotiation table, well, yeah, you did okay, but you wasn't. They try to go cheap on you. So people need to understand that this is a business. What we do on the football field supports our family. And when you're done playing, we have to be able to be financially stable enough to be able to go out and support our family for another semi-years, or to start your business, or to start a different venture. This is important. Like, people work their whole lives to get to this point, and their loyalty can be to the team or to it, but it's also to their family. It's also to their family. And as fans, we have to understand that. As a player, I understood that. And also as a fan growing up, I understood that.
No doubt about it. By the way, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up. Yeah, March Madness are planning to go forward with it. I just saw that. I mean, we all expected it to come, but to hear the announcement is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Boy, did I miss that last year. That was, we talked about this before the year ended, Joik. The things that we all missed. Not having March Madness last year was strange. Like those first 2 days of the tournament to me are just absolute magic. They're two of the best damn days during the season. So the Lions, just to put a bow on it, the Lions fall yesterday 37-35. They finished the season 5-11. The worst defense they've ever had, and the second worst statistically in the National Football League. And it goes to show you how the league is today. As bad as that defense was, the Lions still found a way to win 5 games. Now, anybody want to complain about Matthew Stafford? Anybody? How with that defense, how in the world did they win 5 games? I mean, that defense was horrific. It was historically horrific. And I said it once, I say it 1,000 times. I don't think people around here really respect number 9.
They don't.
I don't get it. Guys around the league do.
No,
guys around here, for whatever reason, Joy, I don't know what it is. I don't get it. Did you feel that when you were playing with them? Did you go, man, people don't know how good this guy is?
No.
No?
I know how good he was. The team knew how good he was. No, we never felt that way. We never, and then outside noise too. We never listen to outside noise, Sean.
You guys don't. I know that.
We don't listen to outside noise. Like you guys get paid to talk, and we get paid to play. And at the end of the day, I'm not looking in the media. We might win a game. I might glance, but I'm never. But that's within that 24-hour grace period of winning until we come in and watch the film the next day, go over the film, and when that game is over, it is over. We're done. We're on to the next week. That's our mindset.
All right, so when we come back, we'll take a look at the NFL playoffs. I love the schedule. If you haven't seen the schedule yet, we're going to tell you all about the schedule. Saturday and Sunday are going to be epic games. Pretty cool weekend coming up, Joik, when you think about it. You got triple header Saturday, triple header Sunday, and then the national championship game in college football on Monday. That's a damn good weekend. We'll talk about that when we come back. We'll talk up the Bell Bowl as well. What's the Bell Bowl? We'll tell you when we come back. Woodward Sports.
Welcome to Grow Green, the green standard for garden supplies here in Michigan over the past 10 years. We offer the best gardening and lawn care products and have an extremely knowledgeable staff to help you create your dream garden or make your yard the envy of the neighborhood. Shop the store located in Whitmore Lake or online at growgreenmi.com. Delivery and curbside pickup available. Grow Green, making Michigan greener one grower at a time.
We wake up every day with a choice. Keep going down the same unfulfilling path or start chasing the life we dream about. At Northwestern Tech, we want to make that choice easier by allowing you to keep working your job while training for a real career in heating and cooling. And our hands-on program is only 10.5 months. So getting in the field and building a career and actually waking up with a purpose could be a lot easier than you think. Northwestern Tech, the HVAC school that works.
All right, for couch potatoes like me, I absolutely love this schedule. In case you missed the schedule, and we'll get the graphic up there, we've got our Super Bowl bracket out there. Woodward Sports bracket, we'll pull that up for you. But, Joy, what I love about this is triple header action. You got Colts and Bills Saturday at 1, Rams and Seahawks Saturday at 4:40, Buccaneers and Washington football team at 8:15 on Saturday. Right. I'm going to miss that middle game because I've got a high school football game to call. Then on Sunday, Ravens-Titans at 1:05, the Bell Bowl at 4:40, the Bears and Saints.
Yeah, 4:40, yep.
Browns and Steelers doing it again, third time, 8:15 on Sunday night. How stinking beautiful is that? I mean, if you're somebody that's into watching football all day, The wild card weekend is where it's at, man. Bell Bowl. What do you think about? You got a few rooting interests in that, right?
Yeah, I do. I got the Bears and I got the Saints. Who I still have on the Saints that I play with there? Only person that's still there that I play with is Drew's there, and then Cam.
Okay.
And Cam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are two players that are still there that I play with. And for the Bears, I don't think I play with anyone on the Bears though. That's still there right now.
They churn that over pretty quickly.
Except for Fuller.
Yeah. And I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. The Bills are that's who I'm pulling for. I don't think they're going to do it. You had some time in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. We know Coach Heff, who coaches their offense.
You think they're going to do it against the Colts?
Yeah, they'll pound the Colts.
Yeah. I think they have the Colts. Yeah.
You know what? I want you to speak on this because I had this conversation with somebody else in the media, and I'm only going to talk about Woodward Sports here, bank on it. But I had this conversation with somebody else in the media, and we were talking about Miami and Buffalo this past weekend. And Miami, as you well know, would have been an incredible story if they were able to finish it out, go into Buffalo and win the game. Those warm weather teams consistently go to cold weather spots and not only lose but get their ass kicked. It happens time and time again, and it's almost like you have to remind people that. Yeah. Indy's a dome team, all right? How many times do we see some of those Colt teams that look so damn good have to go into Foxborough and you're like, what the hell happened to Peyton and the Colts, man? They look like crap. There's something different for those teams that play on the track or play in the warm weather, man.
That's Mother Nature coming in. That's playing the game under every condition. Right? People go to Lambeau in December. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be different. That's one thing good about having home field advantage for them, right? And being outside, they're used to that.
Yeah.
They practice outside in those type of conditions. When we have to play teams in those type of conditions, so we go to Chicago or to Green Bay to play them in that type of weather. That whole week we're outside practicing in that type of weather. I mean, you can practice outside in Tennessee, but it's not going to feel the way it's going to feel. We can practice outside on our practice field here in Detroit, and this is what it's going to feel like in Green Bay, a close comparison, right?
Yeah.
And so for teams like that who go into a game like that, they don't really know what to expect. If you're not really from there, you haven't played there. And so that's a big advantage for Green Bay.
So think about, and I want you to think about this for the Bills, and it's funny because a couple other people said it. Steve said Buffalo's really good. The other Steve Brown said Bills became my B team last year. I was just tired of the Lions' losses, decided halfway through the year to adopt a B team. I never did that before. I love the Bills. 2 reasons. I said it before. I love Josh Allen. Josh Allen is a guy that he looks ugly as sin, but he gets it done. And then I love guys like Joe Bell. You don't know how he's doing it. He does it, man.
Get it done.
And so I love Josh Allen because of that. And, of course, Coach Heff. Shout out to Coach Heff.
Yeah.
Now, think about this. Think about what you just said. So here's
we got to get Coach Heff on the show, man. We got to get him on.
I'd love to get
I'm going to reach out to him today.
So I want you to think about this. Here's Phillip Rivers, who played his entire career in San Diego and then L.A. and now in the Dome at L.A. How do you like Phillip Rivers' chances in Buffalo? No, I don't at all. Even if it's the good Phillip Rivers, the inconsistent Phillip Rivers,
it doesn't matter.
I don't like their chances at all in Buffalo. No way.
No, got a shot.
Not this time of year. Colts, Bills, Rams, Seahawks, Buccaneers, Washington. I like this playoff format. I want to get the players' perspective. I like that they added another playoff team because what you're doing is you're selling hope. There were a bunch of teams playing yesterday that normally Week 17 would have been a mail-in for them. And they were playing, you had Dallas playing the Giants, 2 teams that would have been done for 2 weeks in previous years. But because this year added the extra playoff team and that division stunk so badly, they're playing like their hair's on fire because they're playing for their life. I like selling hope. I like the extra playoff game. I like giving the 1 seed the bye. Are you down with this?
Yeah, for sure.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's good.
You got to get a 1 seed the bye. I mean, be able to sit back and I think they even get paid for that week. So they get paid for sitting down at the home watch, and that's another good part about it.
DeMaurice Smith, give a shout out to D. Smith.
Yeah, yeah, and people have to understand that you make it to the playoffs, right? everybody gets paid the same, like, because there's no longer the salary. And so whatever, say I didn't play, I was on the sideline, but I was on the active roster, I wasn't part of that 45 people that were playing that particular game, I still get the same amount that they were getting paid. And every week, I think for like the first 2 games, it's the same. Then when you get to the AFC, NFC Championship, it goes up. And you get to the Super Bowl, it goes up again. And I think it goes up every year as far as how much each player gets paid. The practice squad players get paid more. It's extra checks. It's basically you're playing with house money now.
That's beautiful.
You're playing with house money, right? So this is the extra. You can probably earn up to probably another 300,000, 250 to 300,000 around that ballpark. If you make it all the way to the Super Bowl. I don't know what the numbers are now with the new CBA, but I can't imagine it going anything less than what it was in the past. So,
as Kennedy pointed out in our plan sheet, Browns make the playoffs for the first time since 2002. Tim Couch, right? Wasn't Tim Couch the quarterback, if my nerdy memory serves me correct? The former Kentucky great who, well, he wasn't great in the NFL.
Tim Couch. Was he first round too, right?
Yeah. They get as a bonus a 3rd game with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who they just played yesterday. Steelers, of course, resting Ben Roethlisberger. They have to go to Pittsburgh and play. Steelers Brown. That is going to be a fun game to end the weekend, man. Next Sunday night, that's your 8:15 game. Let me get your take on the Washington football team, okay? Again, I like to talk to you as a player. I have a very good friend in the media who is from Washington. He loves the Washington football team. He knows the every lyric to their old, of course, moniker was the Redskins. He's known to break into "Hail to the Redskins" at any given time. A lot of people are pounding on the Washington football team for getting into the playoff. To me, Joy, this is the National Football League. I don't care if you're 7-9. I don't care if you're 5-11. Okay, they played by the rules of the National Football League. They don't have anything to apologize for. It's not their fault the division sucked. They were the best team in a bad division. Move on.
Move on. That's what it is. That's what it is. I got
no issue. Now, let's be honest. They're probably going to get drilled by Tampa. Unless
there you go.
What if the weather's bad in Washington?
Yeah. That's what I was about to say.
Even with Tom Brady and all his history at Foxborough, those guys, if you get yourself a bad weather game in Landover, Maryland, or wherever the hell it is that they play.
I think if they're playing against another quarterback, I think they might. If they're playing against, say, Phillip Rivers and they had bad weather, I would say, okay, it might be in comparison. But even then, I don't see them pulling that out.
No, nor do I.
I don't see them pulling it out. Not with Tom Brady at QB. No, he's a Michigan guy. We pulled through. I mean, we used to that type of stuff.
Sean said, Sean, who spells his name the right way, go Steelers. I think they got enough to beat the Browns. I mean, even with their late season, troubles, I think they got enough to beat the Browns. Steve said, I admire Alex Smith, but he's going to get killed back there with his limited mobility. He has been an unbelievable story this year, Joik. I mean, one of the most grotesque injuries I've ever seen. For him to get back on the football field, for him to lead that team into the playoffs. Oh, by the way, as an added bonus, their coach fought cancer. There's so many human interest stories with this Washington football team, but I agree with him. I think it's over.
It is over.
It's a cute story, but Tom Brady's going to take care of business. Kenny said, don't hate the player, hate the game. Scott said, Brady might be used to playing in that weather, but his receivers aren't. Other than Gronk. Brady and Gronk, who you got? Right?
Yeah, like you got, who else you need?
All right, so I'm going to ask you, this weekend we're going to get game by game. Colts at Bills, 105. Bills are favored by only a touchdown. I think that spread should be a lot more. I think the Bills are going to pound them.
I think they win by 17.
Okay. Rams and Seahawks again. I don't know how the Rams got into the playoffs. I really don't. Seahawks favored by 4.5.
Well, I mean, the Rams, they didn't play the best ball, but they played well enough to get in.
Yeah. With the extra playoff team, sure.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, they're going to be. I don't think they can pull through with the Seahawks unless the Seahawks have some type of bad day on offense and they step up defensively. we'll see what happens. But I don't see them getting past the Seahawks.
I have a feeling that it could be blowout Saturday. I hope I'm wrong, but I really, Bills and Colts, Seahawks and Rams, and Tampa and Washington.
Now, Sean, we're saying it might be blowout, but I want you to understand that when once you make it into the playoffs, it's a whole new season.
Yeah,
it's a whole new season. I still remember when Green Bay got in as a wild card game, and they won every game. I think it was 2012 when they won every game, and I ended up winning the Super Bowl. Was that 2012 when Aaron Rodgers?
11.
11?
Yeah, wasn't 2000. No, 2010. 2010, right?
It could be.
Yeah, I think it was 2010.
Yeah. Last time they won it.
Yep, it's 2010.
But once you get in, like I said, once you get into the playoffs, it's fair game.
Yeah.
It's fair game. It doesn't matter who you are. I think the game where I think the Giants, is it when they beat the Colts or the Patriots, when they wasn't even in. Nobody had them to win the game.
Weren't they a 9-17 that year?
Yeah, they were.
They beat them twice, but the second one was the one where it was like, how'd this happen?
Yeah. And they came back and beat them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
When you get into the playoffs, none of that stuff matters anymore. It's any given Sunday. Anybody can get it. Anybody can lose. Anybody can win. It doesn't matter. I want people to understand that regardless of record, these are the top athletes in the world playing at the highest level in the world at their profession. And so when the playoff starts, people understand, even coaches know we're getting paid more money. We're playing for the Lombardi Trophy. We're playing for pride. And if you can get paid while you're playing for it, then let's do it. Let's get it.
How much does experience come into a game like this? I mean, because, for you, as good as the teams you guys had, there was the 2011 playoffs that, you had basically just got there. There was the 2014 playoffs, and then there's the 2016 playoffs. Is there something to be said for having that playoff experience? Is there something to be said for been there, done that? Or is that another one of those things that maybe the media puts too much into that?
No. I would say this year it would be more so of it'd be normal.
Yeah.
It might feel like a regular game to the players. Usually when you have the playoffs, the fans is kind of what brings that intensity to the game, the magnitude of the playoffs.
Yeah.
They bring that, and since they're not allowed to be at the games at full capacity, I don't think that the playoffs will have that same feel, right? But I think us knowing that we're in the playoffs is going to be the only thing that's different to us knowing that we're in the playoffs. But as far as the atmosphere of the football game, I don't think it's going to change too much from the regular season.
Sure. So you guys didn't, when you went into Dallas in 2014, it wasn't, butterflies or anything like that? It was just like, it's a business trip?
It's a business trip.
Okay.
It's a business trip. And we knew what was at stake. We knew that we hadn't won a playoff game in, was it 18 years, I think, at the time. And we understood that we had an opportunity to go in and go make magic. And we went to the game not knowing that, that call would happen. But at the same time, just to revert back to earlier what we were saying, that when you're playing the games like that at that magnitude, you have to play well enough to where you take the refs out of the game, period. And for us to come out in the second half and we throw a pick and then they go down and they go for it on 4th and 1, then they get the touchdown, then now they have the momentum. And defense played well. Offensively, we had to run the ball the same way we ran the ball in the first half. We didn't run the ball well, to me, in my perspective. We didn't run the ball well in the second half, myself included. So it was opportunities that we had in the game that we need to take full advantage of that we didn't. So that's my take on it.
I really thought, Joik, it's funny because you mentioned the previous playoff when I was there that day in January of '92. I thought, wow, this is amazing. The Lions are going to get their second playoff win in the Super Bowl era, and both of them come against the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, really, as I'm watching that game, I'm like, holy shit, holy crap, the Lions are going to win this game.
Yeah.
And then, well, we know how that worked out.
How that worked out.
A couple comments here. Brady might be used to playing in that weather. His receivers aren't. Sue will get a sack, yeah. Chase Young said, tell Tom I'm coming for him. Should be fun to watch if he's allowed to touch Brady or we'll get called for roughing. That's great. Steve said Indy D is good. You're absolutely right. I don't think they get enough credit. Going into Buffalo is going to be a different story, though. You bet Orchard Park, especially in December and January.
Oh, yeah.
That's a different. That's up there with Lambeau, man. You get that lake effect snow. That is some serious
the Niagara
stuff.
Falls coming over there. Yeah.
I love this one, Joy. This is one that really intrigues me for the weekend. Hi, Fish.
Hi. Buffalo will have fans.
Yes, Buffalo will have fans. People didn't know that.
Yeah.
Ravens Titans. I love Ravens Titans. I love Lamar Jackson. I love the way the Titans go. I mean, Derrick Henry is a guy that I'm going to guess a running back like you has to love. I think out of the games this weekend, Joy, just one man's opinion, I think that might be the one for me that I'm most looking forward to. I like the Bills. I have a rooting interest with the Bills, but Ravens Titans is the one. It's like, all right, 105, I'm going to be locked in. All my stuff on the grill will already be done so I can sit down and watch this game.
Well, I'm going to have to come bring you some meat.
Anytime. You come over anytime.
I don't like the way that came out, but I'm going to have to bring you some barbecue and let you cook it for me.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do it. You want some barbecue? Joy's son's here. You want some barbecue? Yeah, I'm not sure if he wants any barbecue. I'll hook you up.
You want some barbecue?
Don't you worry about that.
All right.
Bears Saints. Drew Brees. Does he have one more run in him? I still think it's an act of God that the Bears made the playoffs at 8-8. But there they are. I like the Saints in this one a lot. A lot.
Not going to be close. This is one of the – I don't think they have enough firepower on offense or defense to match the Saints. And the Saints are playing well offensively and defensively.
And that reverse happens. They're in the dome.
Right.
This is what they want. This is their track meet, man.
Exactly.
This is their track meet. Steelers-Browns at night. The Steelers stumbled down the stretch, still found a way to win the division. But with that being said, look, this Brown team is going to give them some hell. This is one, I'm going to have the same feeling that I did about Clemson and Ohio State with this one. I'm going to take the Steelers, but I'm also going to tell you I wouldn't be shocked if Browns won that game. I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked. I can't. I wish I could say it otherwise. Now, Kennedy, you're an Ohio girl. Are you a Browns fan too?
No.
No.
I since it's been so long, I want the Browns to win.
All right, so that's your rooting interest?
Yes.
Okay. That's cool.
So who does the Browns have? The Steelers?
Yeah, Steelers. Chubb, Baker Mayfield, all those young ones. You get your wide receivers back.
You know what? I'm going to tell you this right now. I think they have a shot. They have a legit shot. I like them.
I feel the exact same way.
They have a shot. So people who are saying that they don't have a shot, I honestly got Browns winning this game. The only reason
I wouldn't be surprised.
This is an experience talking where you have a guy like Ben coming in. He's been there before multiple times. He's been under this type of pressure. He knows how to make plays. And then you have Mayfield coming in, and this is his first rodeo. But it's just like his opportunity to say, "I'm the young guy coming in, taking over." You know, this is mine for the taking. I like it.
I like that.
I like it.
I'm hearing you. It's interesting because every year, and I saw some people talking about this. If there was ever a year to pick the two number one seeds, especially because of some of the reasons that we gave, Kansas City being at home is a huge advantage, although Buffalo might have something to say about that. Green Bay at home in the NFC is a massive advantage. It just is. Asking the Saints potentially to go to Green Bay, that's never going to work out well. I think it's too easy to take the number one seeds. I do. I mean, do I think it's going to be a Green Bay Kansas City Super Bowl? Yeah, I do. I really do. But you know what I'm going to do just to be different? I'm going to take the Bills to win the AFC. I'm going to say the Bills go into Kansas City, knock off Kansas City. The Bills go to the Super Bowl, and it's a Buffalo Bill, Green Bay Packers Super Bowl. How's that? He's giving me the absolutely not. He's giving me the absolutely not head shake. All right, what you got?
Simmer down. They're not going to Kansas being Kansas. No, they're not. It's not going to happen. I mean, no, it's just not going to happen. I don't see that at any point.
It's just too easy to take the number 1 seeds. You know what I mean? So it just, I think it's going to be both of them. But
I mean,
how often does it happen?
I think Green Bay. I think we get Green Bay against Kansas. I think Green Bay can pull it out, and that's my feeling.
Do you feel dirty taking the number 1 seeds? I always do.
No,
because it never works that way.
I do sometimes, but not here.
Okay.
They're proven.
Both of them.
Yeah, they're proven.
Both of them.
Yeah, they are. They're proven. I don't think that Buffalo has enough weapons. 'Cause I think Kansas can score at will. They score at will.
Whenever they want to turn.
Whenever they really do. They score at will. It's too many weapons.
All right, we're down. I better go down the field and score.
Yeah, it's
incredible.
too many. And you have a quarterback with that type of raw talent, and you got one of the fastest guys in the NFL on your team that can stretch the defense. You have multiple fast guys on your team. And then you have a Sammy Watkins who he doesn't have the speed as the other guys, but he's no slouch. You know, it's.
The weapons
and then you have Kelsey, then you have Le'Veon Bell in the backfield. Like, I don't see it happening.
All right, Kenny, who you got? Who you like? You got a Super Bowl? Yeah.
I want the Bills to go, and I just don't want Green Bay to go. I can't stand them, and I can't stand their fans. I hate to say it, but I want it to be Kansas and the Bills.
In the AFC Championship? Yeah. See, I feel dirty. I really do think it's going to be. I think it's going to be Kansas City and Green Bay. I just do.
Yeah, I do.
I hate to say it, but
the only reason I'm going
different is we never see ones. We never see ones.
Right. Because we never. I'm going to tell you this. I like the Bills, right? I like the Bills. I want to see them be successful because of my history there and because who's there, right? But I don't see them getting past Kansas. I don't see it.
If Josh Allen had a few more weapons around him, I'd like their chances even more. You know, they got some weapons there. Make no mistake about it. They unveiled one yesterday. You know, a guy catches 2 touchdowns. Isaiah catches 2 touchdowns, returns an 84-yard punt. I think everybody knows about Stephon Diggs. It's not exactly a secret there, and they've had a good thing going on. They've got the weapons, but it's not. All right, here's their arsenal. And then here's Kansas City's arsenal.
That's what it is.
I mean, just so many weapons. Isn't it funny? We talk about this, and Steve brings up a good point. The Bills, it would help them if they had more of a running game than just Josh Allen. Isn't it funny? Year after year after year, we always used to talk about defenses. Nobody talks about defenses anymore.
No, we don't.
That's what the NFL wants.
And this is another thing that makes the biggest weapon they have, which we never talk about. Their play calling. Yeah. The creativity of their play calling.
Yep.
They come up with something different every week. So I think they watch film on Buffalo. They dissect them. They figure out their weaknesses. Watching film with coaches and other players, I realize how to watch film. And you know what their strengths are already by looking at numbers. But when you go and film, you watch, you find their weakness. Like, what is their weakness? All right, where are they lacking?
Yeah. And
then you attack that. You expose it. And it forces them to make those changes either in real time. Right? And they had to call an audible. They had to make those halftime adjustments. That's what they call them, halftime adjustments. But I know that when some coaches will go play Peyton Manning, they'll have 2 game plans. One for the first half and then one for the second half. Because that's how you have to play them. Because once they make those adjustments,
it's too smart.
It's too smart.
Yep. Great point. A couple ones. Kenny said Kansas City versus New Orleans. Breeze swan song. But he said still lose to Kansas City. Sean, who spells his name the right way, said Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Green Bay, Tampa. I see Kansas City versus Tampa in the Super Bowl. Can you imagine the story there? Oh, wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be fun? Mahomes, the young buck, the unquestioned best quarterback in the National Football League now, no diss to either Brady or Rodgers, against the GOAT, Tom Brady. Wouldn't that be a funny story?
Yeah.
Tampa and KC. Interesting. All right, we got to get out of here. Kennedy, thanks as always for everything. We appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
We have so much stuff to do this week. We've got a couple special guests coming up. I never like to tell you, just stay tuned. I did tell you my boy, the scout, is going to come in with us one day this week and talk about how the top end of that draft might look like, what they are looking for. And trust me, Joik, you'll love this.
Yeah.
He's the guy that always spits at people putting too much into those measurables.
Right.
He spits at it. He can't stand it.
Yeah.
He goes, I'll speak for him. He goes, a lot of the guys, my scouting friends, live by that stuff. He spits at it. And I think guys like you prove that correct. That there's so much more to judge. Art, thank you as always. Corey with a K, thank you. Most importantly, thank you for making us a part of your day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks for tapping in.